So welcome all of you all to the second session of clinical rubber dam placement techniques. For those who have missed the first one on the armamentarium, please have a look at the link below. This session we'll be discussing more about the clinical techniques for three different purposes. First is for a single tooth isolation, then for posterior quadrant isolation and anterior segment isolation, and slight variations in these placement techniques. So let's have a look at the first one. So this is going to be our patient for the lockdown, and let me demonstrate you one simple thing that we have to take care before we start the rubber dam placement. Now this is the dull surface of the rubber dam sheet, and on the opposite side we have a shiny surface right here. So what we want is to have the dull surface facing us or towards the operator. So when we are selecting the area to mark a hole, let's say in this particular case when we are doing single tooth isolation for this maxillary right first molar, we can do it in two ways. Either you can place this entire sheet approximately on the patient's mouth and mark a small point over here, or we can also use the rubber dam template. So let's have a look how the rubber dam template is used. So what you see on my left is the rubber dam template, which gives me markings from the central incisor right up to the third molar as corresponding to each quadrant. So what we do is we simply place this on the top of the dull surface of the rubber dam sheet, and we mark the maxillary first molar of the right quadrant, which is the tooth we are going to work on. So this marking gets transferred here. What I also like to do is mark a small cross over here on the upper right side. That gives me an orientation when I am trying to get the rubber dam against the rubber dam frame. So the next thing I'm going to do is take the rubber dam punch, and as you can see the anvil can be rotated according to the diameter of the tooth. So we are going to choose the largest one since we are going to work on the maxillary first molar. What we'll do is simply slide the rubber dam sheet along the anvil, and once it corresponds against this dot, we are just going to press it down all the way and get a clean circular punch. Open this up, and what you have now is a clean circular punch in which we are going to place the rubber dam clamp. So one small clinical tip that I'd like to give you is, once you are done with punching the rubber dam hole, just make sure that all the excess material that is there is removed out using a small probe or a sharp instrument, so that the area is clean for the next case. So our next step is to prepare the patient for placing the rubber dam. The one important thing that we need to know is that we use a small piece of floss and make sure that the contacts on the mesial and the distal side are clearly flossable, so that our rubber dam will also slip into that space as easily. Now we'll be choosing the number 202 clamp from this rubber dam kit, and while lifting the clamp out, just make sure that your forceps is parallel to the floor and just open it up slightly. There is a locking ring over here with which you can lock and secure the rubber dam clamp, and this can be practiced on the model or on this so that it's easier when you are doing it on the patient. Now comes the trial step, where we are going to just check whether the clamp that we have chosen for the particular tooth is fitting well. Okay. Few things that we need to note is that this bow is always going to come towards the distal side, and when we are placing the clamp has to be secured on the tooth at an equigingival level. Don't force the clamp on the tissue, otherwise it can traumatize the tissues. And we also need to check clinically whether this clamp is stable. That means it should not rock when you are trying to move it towards the buccal or the palatal side. As you can see over here, we have chosen a winged clamp. So if we try to use our rubber dam sheet and stretch it all over this clamp, what will happen is we have to stretch our sheet significantly so that it covers this entire clamp, which also gives us a possibility of getting the sheet torn in multiple places. So that's the reason I would not advise you to now stretch this sheet all over this clamp. Instead, we will do another technique where we will take the sheet and the clamp together, and the entire assembly will be placed inside the patient's mouth. Pull this clamp out now, and we'll see how this entire assembly is ready and then introduce in the patient's mouth together. So what we'll do now is we will align our winged rubber dam clamp to the sheet with the bow towards the distal side, and these are the two wings which will help us get this rubber dam sheet locked in place. Okay, so I will gently stretch this over and lock it in one area of the wing, and we do the same for the other side as well. Okay. So this is how our assembly is ready to be introduced now into the patient's mouth. So we will hold this with our rubber dam forceps, and now we'll see how this entire thing is placed in the patient's oral cavity. So now we are going to pick up this entire assembly and simply place it on the maxillary first molar. Usually what I'll prefer is to introduce the palatal side first, because there should be an undercut in most cases, after which the buccal portion or the buccal side of the clamp will be secured. Okay, you can see our orientation mark is right here, and now we will be applying the rubber dam frame. Foldable frame from Hager Worken, and as you can see there are slight extensions over here which basically denote the area where the frame should be in the mandibular arch. So this portion is going to be lower, and then you can simply fold the frame to either the right or the left side to take the radiographs or the suction if it is needed. So what I'm going to do now is just slip this entire assembly through the frame. Okay, and we will start from one corner, say the lower left corner, and then you use the contralateral side, that's the upper right. Same way we do it on the opposite side here, and the contralateral side. So now all these four corners are secured. We then start securing the frame in the rest of the areas so that the rubber dam sheet is completely stretched. And our entire assembly is now almost ready. So one of the common mistakes that happens with the winged placement is that many a times we forget to remove these extensions which we have used to carry the entire assembly in the patient's oral cavity. That's where we need a small plastic instrument to just move this down. So we stretch the sheet gently and move this excess dam sheet under the rubber dam clamp. Okay, so that's how we move this down on the palatal side, and we do the same thing on the buccal side as well. Gently stretch the sheet and use your plastic instrument to move this down. Okay, that's how you get the entire tooth isolated. One more time we use the floss now and recheck whether the sheet has been placed properly along the mesial side by checking the contacts here. This time I will double check with the floss and then remove this entire floss in one piece together without pulling it out, and the same way we will do for the distal side as well. Now usually the distal side is a little difficult, so what we do is again take the help of our plastic instrument and guide this floss inside. You can also take the help of your assistant sometimes to do this because it is a little bit tricky sometimes. Okay, so we'll do the same thing on the distal side here. Pass it second time around. Okay, so once this is done, we pull that entire assembly out. So this makes sure that the entire mesial and distal side is also sealed. So two last things we have to check before we start working on the particular tooth. One is that since it's a foldable frame, you fold this once and make sure that everything is in place. Okay. And the second thing that I will do is also add a little bit of water with a 3-way syringe and make sure that the water pools over there, which gives me an indication that the entire rubber dam assembly has been successful in isolating this particular tooth from the rest of the oral cavity. So I am okay to start off working like this immediately, but if you want to make all this look a little bit better, what you can do is stretch the corners and pass them on the opposite side, okay, so that the entire sheet looks a little bit more clean. But in my opinion, this is not required. It's just an extra step if you want to make your work area look better. What we need to focus on is isolating this tooth rather than making that entire outside area look good. Okay, so this is how you can remove out all the excess material by stretching it onto the frame. But what we need to focus on is the tooth. Right? Consider we have finished the entire work on this particular patient, and now it's time to remove the entire rubber dam assembly. Okay, the removal is fairly simple. We just need to make sure our forceps is aligned properly with the rubber dam clamp. We open them up just like we did to place the entire rubber dam assembly, and then we stretch the whole thing out. Okay, the entire assembly comes out in one piece, and that's about it. So in the first technique that we discussed, we had two components, that is the rubber dam clamp and the rubber dam sheet that were together, and that was placed in the patient's mouth, followed by adapting the rubber dam frame. Okay. The second variation of this technique can be all three components, that is the clamp, sheet and the frame, that is aligned together. The entire assembly is held and then placed in the patient's oral cavity in the same way. So let's start with the next technique. Okay. So the next exercise we'll be doing is isolating a quadrant. Here we are going to choose the lower left quadrant, that is from the second molar, first molar, second premolar, first premolar, and maybe we can go up to the canine as well. Okay, so we'll see how this is done. First and foremost, we'll check the patient's teeth if they have flossable contacts, because that's going to make our next step of passing the sheet easier. So we will check all of them quickly, so just to make sure that our sheet passes in smoothly. So the next step is going to be our clamp selection. So usually if I have to do a quadrant isolation, or I have to isolate multiple teeth, especially for restorative work, I prefer to use wingless clamps. As you can see, these clamps are much more compact. So depending on the type of tooth, if it's a completely well erupted tooth, I would prefer to use a clamp like this, which is the number 28. If it's a tooth which requires some additional retention, I will prefer to use a better retaining clamp like the W8. This is going to be used for our second molar. For the anterior anchorage tooth, which is either going to be a premolar or canine, I can choose to use any of these clamps, that is either a W2A for better retention, or a regular 2 number clamp can be used. Sometimes I may choose just to use a simple wedget. So I'll show you both the techniques. Now that we have our rubber dam sheet ready, we can do one of two techniques. This first technique is by using just the sheet and stretching the sheet above all the teeth, starting from the posterior most tooth. We stretch it against all the teeth and then ask the assistant to hold this assembly while I pick up my posterior most rubber dam clamp and place it on the very last tooth, anchorage tooth. For this you require an assistant because you need someone to hold the sheet in place. What I prefer to do is a technique which we will discuss which is having the clamp and the sheet together and the entire assembly placed inside the patient's mouth. So I've already checked the number 28 clamp is seating well in the patient's oral cavity. So what I'm going to do now is pass that entire punch through this bow of the clamp. Okay, so we stretch the sheet gently and pass it through the posterior most tooth so that it goes and encompasses the entire bow of the rubber dam clamp. Okay, now this is our assembly that is ready. What I have to do now is just hold this entire assembly, that is the rubber dam sheet, together, and now we can engage this with the forceps and place it on the tooth. Alright, so now that I have this entire assembly ready, I have to simply place the entire thing on the mandibular second molar like so. So I can visibly see that both the buccal and the lingual surfaces are in contact. Now the rest of the procedure is fairly simple. We first isolate this second molar by passing the sheet entirely over it. So we do this for the buccal, and the same way we move it around the lingual surface. So our one tooth is isolated. Now what we have to do is just pass the sheet and stretch it along the rest of the holes. Okay, so either you can start from the posterior tooth onwards, which is what I prefer to do. So pass it interdentally in between each and every tooth, and automatically you will see, because we have checked that the contacts are flossable, the sheet is going to slip into those contacts. Okay, now we have reached till the anterior most tooth, that is the canine. Now if you feel that you need additional retention at this stage, you can stretch this sheet and ask your assistant to put a clamp over there, or alternately we can use a floss tie, or we can use a wedget, or the simplest technique is to just use a small piece of rubber dam which can be stretched along and placed on the mesial side of the tooth, that is the anterior most section. Okay, so it's that simple. Now this anterior segment is also retained. You can see there are some small areas of blue over here, so these need to be flossed again, and you have the entire isolation ready. So just like we did for our single tooth isolation, we will pass the floss like so, then second time around back again. Once it's gone all the way through, we pull it towards the buccal. Same way we do it for all the teeth. So this time we'll be using the metal U-frame. So here we can have the metal frame on the outside, stretched this way, contralateral side, right? So if you want to make it look cleaner, what you can do is stretch this across all the way, and either you can cut this excess out. Okay. So whatever excess you have over here, either you can cut it or just fold it back inside so that entire area looks a little clean. In some cases where you need additional retention or additional security to hold a rubber dam clamp, you can use an additional clamp on the anterior most anchor tooth. Okay, like so. The bow of the clamp is placed towards the mesial side, as opposed to most of the cases where we place the bow towards the distal. So for the third section, where we will be isolating an anterior segment, typically when we want to work on the anterior 3 to 3, I would probably choose one tooth or two teeth posterior to that. That means I will prefer to isolate on the first premolars on either sides or on the second premolars on either sides. The reason is that we get additional amount of space. Say I want to do something in the distal of the canine, I can't possibly placing a clamp on the canine. So that's why one tooth posterior. You can also choose to do a clampless technique here, which is why you have those systems such as Octradam available, wherein you can place a hole in all of these teeth, place the entire assembly inside, and then just like we saw on the anterior segment for the quadrant isolation, we can use a wedget or a small piece of your rubber dam sheet to retain these areas. But if you want a more secure retention, a rubber dam clamp is the right way to go. Okay. So what we'll be doing now is I will be using the first premolar on the maxillary right quadrant and the first premolar on the maxillary left quadrant as our anchor teeth. So we'll be placing two clamps on either sides, and in between we'll be using just the rubber dam sheet to retain and isolate the teeth. Okay. So this time we will be using two clamps for the premolars. So you have three premolar clamps available here. You have a 2 number clamp, you have a 2A, and you have a 207. So I will be choosing the 2A and the 207. If you notice the difference between the 2 and the 2A, there is a slight difference in the way the bow is positioned. In the 2A, the bow is slightly placed more distally as compared to the 2, which is more of a straight position of the bow. So that gives us little more space on the 2A. That's why I prefer the 2A clamp over the 2. And the 207 is almost similar to the 2A, but a slightly smaller version of the 2A clamp. Now that I've got all the 8 holes punched for the anterior segment isolation, we'll move on to placing the clamps and then the entire assembly in the patient's oral cavity. So I will take the 2A for one side and the 207 for the other side. Okay. Now what we are going to do is similar to what we did in our single tooth isolation. That is, we will stretch this entire sheet and place the dam material just over the wings, slip it over the wings on this side and slip it over the wings on the dorsal side. So one section is ready. Same way we do it on the opposite side. So this is our entire assembly that is ready. 2 clamps on the premolars, and we'll now take this entire assembly in the patient's mouth. Okay. So one more thing I hope all of you noticed while I was placing the clamps on the sheet is that the bow is always going to be placed towards the distal side. Okay. So what we'll do now is we'll focus on this first premolar. Okay. As we open the clamp, we have to place it right down inside. Okay. Palatal first, then the buccal, and one tooth is done. Then we move on to the adjacent or the contralateral arch premolar. So we do the same thing right here. Okay, search for the premolar. Okay, that's about it. Okay, now what we need to do is simply start stretching because we have all the other holes already punched. So I will just move this sheet down so that it relieves the pressure and tension on this sheet. Okay, we'll slowly start stretching the sheet now to the approximate locations of our teeth. Okay. Alright, so as you can see, they are grossly positioned. Now we need to stretch them individually and pass them through the interdental space. Okay, so we floss these areas again and make sure that the sheet goes in through completely once and second time. Okay, one thing you will notice is when I am trying to pass the floss, I am not pushing it against the sheet, I am pushing it against the surface of the tooth. So I am pushing it against the mesial of the central incisor and the opposite side central incisor again, and then passing it through. So this time we are going to use a plastic U frame. We are going to do it the same way. Get one corner, the contralateral side, other corner, contralateral side, and then we start pulling and gathering the rest of the rubber dam sheet. Okay, that's it. We are done with the isolation for the anterior segment. So after this anterior segment isolation, 95% of our job is done. We can very well go ahead and do restorations, but if you want to refine your work a little better, one more step that you need to do is rubber dam inversion. Okay, so as you can see here, some of our rubber dam sheet is excess and going above the cervical level of these anterior teeth. So what we need to do here is push this rubber dam sheet down. So there are many ways you can do inversion. One of the simplest ones is to use a blunt instrument. Push this down and stretch the sheet up, push this down and then release the sheet back inside. Okay, we do it the same way for all the teeth. Okay, we can also use a very light air syringe from our 3-way syringe so that the sheet stays down and it gets seated in properly. So this gives us access to the cervical portion of the teeth, plus it also prevents seepage from cervical part of the tooth and avoids contamination by clavicular fluid. Okay, as you can see now, the entire surface of the tooth is visible and we don't have any excess dam material. We can also do the same thing with the help of a small floss. So pass the floss in between the two interdental spaces and stretch it down all the way above the rubber dam sheet till it pushes the excess material towards the cervical portion. Okay, pull this down. Okay, this gives us a little better visibility, especially for the cervical part of the tooth. as you realized from the 3 techniques that we discussed, none of the techniques require you to use any additional armamentarium or accessories. One of the things that we did not mention about is about the liquid dam. Like I showed you, liquid dam is not a compulsion to use while you are placing rubber dam. It's an additional accessory which helps you sometimes save that time and effort of redoing that entire dam placement. So if you have small nicks and tears which can accidentally happen, or some areas which you feel there might be possibility of a leakage, you can use liquid dam over there along the cervical portion of the teeth. Okay, so it's quite simple to place the liquid dam, just like we place a gingival barrier during our bleaching techniques. Once this is done, we use a light cure and cure that area for about 15 to 20 seconds. So this liquid dam now sets hard and we have an area which is sealed a little better. Some patients who have limited mouth opening, rubber dam can be used, but sometimes they need support, an additional support on their jaw, just to make sure that the jaw remains open. So in such cases, rather in most of the cases where I place rubber dam, I prefer to use mouth props so that the patients can rest the mandible on the mouth prop rather than having a lot of stress on the muscles of mastication. Areas where you have less amount of space interdentally, I would probably consider doing some amount of pre-wedging to increase that space. I will discuss about the 7 basic clamps that you would normally need in your rubber dam kit, and these are the ones that I am personally using, and these are the ones that I personally recommend. And there will be also another selection of 15 clamps which you can add to your armamentarium in case you need to have additional replacements. Okay, so there are certain situations or conditions where you might need to use very specific clamps. For instance, you have partially erupted teeth or badly carious teeth. Such cases, I would want to use rubber dam clamps which are having a better retention, like the W8A clamp which I discussed about, or maybe another category of clamps known as Brinker's clamps. So these help in retaining teeth which are badly decayed or partially erupted. In cases where you want to restore distal surfaces of molars, there are certain specific clamps available which have the bow placed slightly further away from the main beaks of the rubber dam clamps. Namely the number 28 and the number 27 are the ones that I prefer. Okay, in addition to these, I also like to use another type of clamps known as tiger clamps, or the ones which have a T at the end. So these are serrated clamps and they help you get a better retention or a better grip on the teeth. Okay, so I'll be putting up the list of the clamps just after this video, so you guys can have a look and purchase them as per your needs. So I hope I was able to solve most of your questions and queries, and I'm glad you put them across so that I could help you out better. Remember one thing, the first step is the hardest in starting rubber dam in your clinical practice. So I would definitely urge you all to try these techniques out on your models and possibly your friends or relatives if you have somebody at home right now during this lockdown, before you start placing it on your patients. Honestly speaking, the most difficult part about using a rubber dam is convincing the dentist to use it in the first place. Okay. Thank you very much for your patient hearing and have a nice day.